What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with some more news. As fans have seen, the wrestling world stops at nothing short of a nuclear apocalypse, so there's always some big things going on. That's both in WWE and in AEW. Join us now as Wrestlelamia looks at the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know, including the huge change made to WrestleMania 36. AEW just put on a show with the massive reveal and a massive debut. Will Ospreay calls out CM Punk. Bryan looking to become a part-timer now, Sasha Banks' promise, and much more. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos. But let's waste no further time and get straight into the first story, as there's some huge changes to WrestleMania 36. Now, the WWE is really trying to make this year's WrestleMania seem special, despite it airing in a venue without any fans. As you've likely heard, especially if you keep up with our news videos, the WWE is contemplating piping in crowd noise at Mania, and now there are some substantial changes to the WWE show of shows. WWE.com informed fans that WrestleMania 36 is now set for a historic two-night presentation on WWE Network, with former New England Patriot Rob Gronkowski hosting the show of shows at 7 PM Eastern Time, 4 PM Pacific Time on Saturday, April 4th and Sunday, April 5th. The 2020 edition of the Showcase of the Immortals will make history as the first to span across multiple days. WrestleMania will not only take place at WWE's training facility, but it will include multiple locations over 2 nights. Rob Gronkowski tweeted the fans about his role. "It's official. I'm hosting WrestleMania this year, and it's gonna be too big for just one night. For the first time, WrestleMania will be a 2-night event, Saturday, April 4th and Sunday, April 5th on the WWE Network. Tell you more this Friday night on SmackDown at 8 PM Eastern Time on Fox Television." Will Gronk's presence bring in any football fans or other sports fans chomping at the bite for some sanctioned violence? You can be certain the WWE is counting on getting all the help it can get and drawing in as many viewers as possible for this year's Mania. Next up, AEW just put on a show. Where do we begin? Well, firstly, AEW proved that you don't need a roaring crowd to put on a good show. Now, don't get us wrong, we would have loved to have heard the huge pops from the crowd, but last night's episode of AEW Dynamite brushed off the fact it had an empty arena. Well, apart from MJF in the crowd, they still delivered a big show with a huge reveal and a massive debut. There weren't any replays to speak of, no time wasted, and there was plenty of wrestling. They did put on a good solid 2-hour show. But let's get the biggest news out of the way first, as Matt Hardy made his AEW debut. Now, there'd been lots of rumors regarding Matt Hardy in AEW, but it wasn't the way we thought he was going to debut. Nevertheless, they still impressed, as at the end of the show, the Inner Circle managed to beat the Elite, and Jericho was celebrating with his boys, ripping the Elite as they gained a big advantage going into Blood and Guts. But during Jericho's promo, a drone then swooped into the ring, and Nick Jackson announced somebody owed him a favor, revealing Matt Hardy in the upper section of the arena, confirming his allegiance with the Elite. Even though there was no crowd, the segment didn't even feel awkward. It was an absolutely awesome way to end the show. And even though he's not the Exalted One, he is still in AEW, and we can't wait to see what's in store for him. But speaking of the leader, he was also revealed last night, and it turned out to be former WWE superstar Luke Harper, now known as Brody Lee. This is awesome for him, as this is a chance for him to be utilized properly and not just simply sitting on the sidelines in WWE. Check out the show if you can, it's well worth watching. This show definitely trumped Raw's empty arena show. And next up, Sasha Banks' promise for her fans. There's no denying that this year's WrestleMania is going to be different than anything we've ever seen. Sasha Banks knows this and told her fans via Instagram that she knows how disappointing it must be for people who plan to go to Mania this year, as well as its other events like Access, but who can no longer go. The boss explained, "But in the end, the world is a scary place right now, and priority number 1 is everyone's health and safety. So on April 5th, WrestleMania will happen, and we will do our very best to put on a show worthy of our fans. I wish you were there, but I will perform as if all of you are, because it's what you deserve like a boss." It's great to see WWE superstars willing to wrestle despite the risk posed by traveling at a time when many people are confined to their homes as a precautionary measure. It's also good to know Banks is ready to entertain her fans at 100% effort. Next up, Will Ospreay calls out CM Punk. Once CM Punk gave a list of opponents he considered stepping out of retirement to wrestle, who would have thought he'd get a challenge so soon? One name mentioned was Will Ospreay, often listed as one of the best technical wrestlers in the world, who tweeted, "Just an idea, and because we could all use something to focus on to get us through this hard time right now, save January 4th and get some reps in. Help the business move forward instead of being a spoke on the wheel. This might be clickbait, but a great white just bit," tagging in CM Punk. A Punk vs Ospreay match could be fantastic, and it would give Punk a chance to wrestle on a major stage and collect a major paycheck without working for WWE or AEW, instead working for New Japan Pro Wrestling. Punk could also work for Ospreay's own promotion Frontline and forego a big payday. Next up, Daniel Bryan becoming a part-timer? Daniel Bryan and his wife Brie Bella will soon be welcoming another child, and perhaps that's why the leader of the Yes Movement is rethinking his future. Bryan appeared on the Bella Twins podcast, informing his fans he'll be taking some time off soon. WWE has been great. They're gonna give me 6 weeks of maternity leave, which so few places in the United States do that. So I'll get to be home that first 6 weeks, but after that it's not long until my contract is up. However, as Bryan noted, his WWE contract is coming up soon, and he's having serious thoughts about how much he'll be involved with the company. Bryan spoke about how he and Brie have been rethinking things. We've been talking about what we do from there, but to me, in my mind, it's almost, I think I'm just done being a full-time wrestler. You know what I mean? Brie added that Bryan wants to focus on being a dad, and that with a second child on the way, their priorities have changed even more. Bryan said he'd prefer wrestling on rare occasions, either monthly or even every few months. And that's the thing, I love being a dad. I always love wrestling. I will always love wrestling, and I will always want to do wrestling, but when I say always want to do wrestling, that means maybe once a month or once every couple of months. It's good that Bryan recognizes how precious time is when it comes to spending it with your children. Far too many veteran wrestlers have spoken with remorse at losing time with their kids as they grew up, all due to the rigorous schedule imposed on wrestlers. Next up, Chavo Guerrero on why SmackDown aired after Eddie's passing. With the WWE deciding to run WrestleMania even as other sporting events have been shut down, Chavo Guerrero had a chance to look back at other times McMahon went ahead airing WWE programming. Speaking with Wrestling Inc. Daily, Chavo recalled McMahon deciding to air SmackDown after the events of 11th September 2001. Guerrero talked about Vince's mindset, suggesting it's what's driving him to run WrestleMania 36 this year, despite the WWE having to run it without the presence of any fans. Vince is all about keeping the show going. There are a few things, there's definitely a loss of revenue, but at the same time it's not just about that. It's about putting on this show and entertaining the fans stuck at home. Can you imagine if we were all stuck at home and television shut down? That would be insane if television, Netflix and everything else shut down. It would be like the Dark Ages for us. He also recalled what happened shortly after his uncle's passing. Vince is always, the show must go on. The same thing happened when Eddie passed away. I was in the hallway of his hotel room and here comes Vince, Triple H and Shawn Michaels. We're all talking and he was like, "What should I do? Should I cancel?" I go, "Absolutely not. Eddie would want the show to go on for sure." Chavo's comments provided more insight into why Vince is choosing to air WrestleMania on 2 nights rather than postponing it. However, is Vinnie Mac making a mistake by airing the show? Be sure to check out our future video tonight on that very subject. But speaking of Vince, what does his pal Ryback think of the decision to run Mania as scheduled? Yeah, it's time for our reoccurring feature, Ryback's Corner, in which we select some of former WWE superstar and full-time Vince McMahon bashers' most scathing remarks towards the WWE and/or Vince McMahon. This time, the big guy took time to lay into Vince McMahon for running WrestleMania at a time when most sports have put their events on hold or cancelled them. Ryback told Wrestling Inc.'s Raj Giri, "At the end of the day, and this is just my personal opinion, Vince doesn't give a F about anyone except for his bank account. That is me being there and talking to a lot of other people in different generations at different times that have worked there. And just personally, seeing how things operate and looking him in his eyes on many occasions, and just instinctually knowing that I never wanted anything to do with this type of human being." Ryback seems to have become the wrestling equivalent of Jameson to Vince McMahon's Spider-Man, always finding fault with the WWE's Kingpin. Do you agree with Ryback's opinion? Let us know in the comments down below. And our last story, Undertaker and Michelle McCool helping out furry friends. Now, have you ever wondered what the dead man does in his time off? One thing we can tell you is that he and his wife Michelle McCool are involved in helping out animals. And no, we don't mean Dave Bautista. Ringside News recently posted a public service announcement by the Phenom and McCool in which they are standing in a pool next to a full-size tiger. The video was shot at Myrtle Beach Safari and the couple asked the public to help preserve the mighty sentinel of the forest. It's great to see WWE superstars throwing their star power behind worthy causes. We only hope the dead man doesn't feed AJ Styles to the tiger after the Phenom defeats the Phenomenal One at Mania. Or could it be the other way around? But there you have it, guys, the wildest wrestling news stories and rumors you need to know. Be sure to leave your comments down below, subscribe if you haven't already, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.